here. All members of council are here and accounted for with the exception of Mr. Diaretta, who stepped out of the room. The purpose of this meeting is to bring forth legislation that will be considered by City Council at a future date. With that, we'll start off with Mr. Bill Magna.
Nothing this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Bill Magna. Mr. Davis?
Yes, Your Honor, I have three pieces of legislation this evening. First one coming out of the Finance Committee, ordinance number 2015-19, an ordinance amending section 191.10 and section 191.14D of the codified ordinances of the City of Steubenville. Legislation number two, coming out of the Finance Committee also, ordinance number 2015-25, an ordinance ratifying the 2-year wage and benefit contract entered into by the City of Steubenville with the Firefighters Union Local Number 228 IAFF OAPPFF AFLC-CIO. And the final one, Your Honor, coming out of the Finance Committee, ordinance number 2015-26, an ordinance repealing the existing table of organization of the City of Steubenville, Ohio, and now enacting a table of organization for the employees of the city. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Mr. Diaretta?
No report, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Diaretta. Mr. Johnson?
No reports.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Ms. Curdaw?
Yes, Your Honor, I have three. One up under Buildings and Grounds, an ordinance authorizing and directing the city manager and the mayor to execute a contract for sale of city-owned property to the State of Ohio Department of Transportation. And my understanding that this is coming up under Buildings and Grounds because this is to do with the Route 7.
The intersection of State Route 7 and University Boulevard.
Yes, sir. And then I have two coming out of Planning and Zone, from the Planning and Zone Commission. We have two coming from Planning. An ordinance authorizing and directing city manager and the urban projects director to advertise for proposals from consulting firms for professional services for the preparation of asbestos assessments and related services, authorizing entering into contract with the lowest and most qualified bidder and authorizing payment thereof. This is the first steps in the 2015 demolitions, or one of the first steps. And another ordinance authorizing and directing the city manager to advertise for bids for the sale of the lot numbers 2 and 3 of John Fisher's addition in the city of Steubenville, subject to the bid specifications and right to reject any and all bids. This one was requested by a local business owner. The property is located on South Street. It is across from Steubenville Truck. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Curdaw. We will now continue on sunshine of legislation to Mr. Metcalf.
Yes, Your Honor. First of all, under utilities, ordinance number 2015-13, ordinance authorizing and directing the city manager to execute task order agreement number 3A for a water construction condition assessment for the raw water pump station, RWP, and a water treatment plant, WTP, with HDR Engineering, Inc., city project number 2014-130, and to complete all necessary functions that may be required. Additionally, under utilities, ordinance number 2015-14, an ordinance authorizing and designating the city manager as a local official with the authority to execute the project known as Aberdeen Road, Bryden Road, East Carlton Road, water line upgrade, city project number 2014-142, and complete all necessary functions that may be required to complete said project, including but not limited to engineering design services, right-of-way services, including acquisition of right-of-way, utility relocation, construction, administration, inspection services, bidding services, advertising for bids for construction, including any rebidding that may be required, entering into a contract with the lowest, most qualified bidder, and authorizing payment therefor. And the third one under utilities, ordinance number 2015-15, ordinance authorizing and designating the city manager as the local official with the authority to execute the project known as Label Avenue water line upgrades, city project number 2014-143, and complete all necessary functions that may be required to complete said project, including but not limited to engineering design services, right-of-way services, including acquisition of right-of-way, utility relocation, construction administration, inspection services, bidding services, advertising for bids for construction, including any rebidding that may be required, and entering into a contract with the lowest most qualified bidder, and authorizing payment therefor. These came from the utilities meeting we had 10 days ago with Mr. Dolak. Under finance, ordinance number 2015-122. This is an ordinance authorizing and directing the finance director to transfer the amount of $236,274.91 from the general fund 01 to the general reserve fund. And this is part of our rainy day fund.
I'm sorry, I did support.
That will create the 10%.
That would be the 10%, right. Following that specifically is ordinance number 2015-21. It's an ordinance amending ordinance number 2014-140 to amend the revenue tax budget for year ending December 31st, 2015 to adjust for the change in revenue from the transfer into the general reserve fund from the general fund. Also under finance, ordinance number 2015-20, ordinance amending ordinance number 2014-141 to make appropriations for year ending December 31st, 2015 for a transfer to the general reserve fund, purchase vehicles and equipment for the street department, purchase vehicles and equipment for the sanitation department, increase the budget to pay for the new voicemail system and phones. This is what we discussed earlier. That is under a 30-day. That will be brought in that way. Additionally, to go along with that, also in the 30-day will be the ordinance 2015-23, an ordinance authorizing and directing the city manager to enter into a contract with World Radio Telecommunications for an upgrade of the city phone system. Your Honor, lastly, I'd like to make a motion at this time. After your meeting, we go into executive session. The city manager would like to discuss personnel, specifically new finance director.
It's been regularly moved and seconded that following public forum, City Council will move into an executive session for a discussion of personnel finance director. Roll call.
Mr. Romagna?
Yay.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. DiLoretto?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. Cortell?
Aye.
Mr. Metcalf?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
So moved. City Council will move into an executive session following the public forum. Is that all, Mr. Metcalf?
That is it.
Thank you, Mr. Metcalf. We'll continue on to Mr. Paul.
I have nothing this evening, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. That will conclude the sunshining of legislation. Then we are now in the public forum. Is there anyone wishing to speak to the City Council on city business? Please come forward, state their name and address.
My name is Mark Nelson, I live at 272 County Road 26 here in Steubenville. First, I want to thank council for seriously looking at the whole JV Green Team issue that's in front of us. I appreciate you guys taking this whole matter seriously. It's an issue that's affecting our community. We're seeing that in the paper, both here in Jefferson County as well as down in Belmont County. And would like to, again, thank you for that. And speaking here this evening as a citizen and a taxpayer, I want to say that I'm very much in favor of recycling and conservation and wise use of resources. And part of those resources would be our monies. And that's what, when I looked up the difference between the dollars spent to move tonnage through CCH from Carroll County, Columbia County, and Harrison County compared to our counties here, it seems way off. Today I called CCH's solid waste district and spoke with the woman who answered the phone. I believe she's somewhere on the staff there with them. She was very gracious to talk. I encourage any of you guys to call and get more information. She was very respectful of our district and professional about everything. She also specified or noted that their area was a district and our area is an authority, but she said it really has to do with the difference in the way that the organization is set up and governed by the board of directors or and we will on that board. It wasn't real clear to me. She also said that truly was the budget. That was in 2010, I believe, and they're currently writing another plan right now. They're going through the same process are beginning the same process that we are up there. 100% of their collection is done by outside contractors. And I hauled a steer up to Columbiana County this week, and I saw recycling containers, and they were provided by Kimball. They have curbside recycling in one community. I believe that community funds their own recycling. She said that if they had excesses any year, which is not very common up there, they don't have any landfill within their community at all. They use Apex, somewhere between 20 and 40 other landfills around the state, as well as Pennsylvania. But if they did have an excess, then they had to provide information immediately on how they're going to spend the excess to help the community by additional cleanup, but it's been very rare that they've had any excesses. And the other thing they said was, I can't remember what else they said, but anyhow, they were very informational and very pleasant to talk to. The other thing was, I wondered, is there a way to extend the deadline of the ratification of the plan further out, so we don't have to get tossed towards the EPA, but rather just extend it somehow and then go back and amend the plan to bring it within the funding. We didn't lose all of our funding. We lost some of our funding, the Apex funding. But is there a way to bring it back into alignment with, a decrease in funding?
Your Honor, just, any of us could answer that, but no, the EPA is giving a mandate March 31st of this year. We have to
I think
either pass it or not.
Yeah, I think we're, fortunately or unfortunately, I believe we're at that point.
And the board would have to make quick changes in order to...
And I think, yes, again, remember, it's a 15-person board, so all those communities, a number of them have to vote. And, so I think it would be problematic at this point.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to City Council on city business? Please come forward, state their name and address. If not, I will ask the council chamber to be cleared and we will move into the executive session.